Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Sit back, relax, and listen as we have a conversation about the mundane. One thing that we can promise is that our conversation will be less than fascinating so that you can just drift off. Thank you for joining us. We hope you will listen and sleep. Today's show is brought to us by BarkBox. Go to getbarkbox.com/The Insomnia Project. For your 6 or 12 month subscription, you get 1 month free, and that'll make your pooch very happy. We are currently in Sebastian, Florida, which means I will be doing this podcast with my father-in-law, Daniel Barker. One of our listeners said, "When are you doing another podcast with Daniel?" So here he is. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you for having me back.
It's always a pleasure. I wanted to talk to you about, I don't know what the correct term would be, but flea marketing. Because I've been to flea markets before. But going to a flea market with you, I feel like I'm going with an expert. So I want to ask you, how did you get into going to flea markets and sales of that nature?
Well, actually, it was almost by accident. We now live in Florida, but if you go back in the family's history, we started off in my hometown and my wife's hometown of Hanover, Massachusetts. We then moved to Canada, New Brunswick, and we bought an old farm up there. And then, after I retired, I was offered a position with a company in Nashville, Tennessee. So we moved there. Now, what this all means is that we've accumulated actually 3 houses. And at one point, we owned 3 houses. We had Florida, we had New Brunswick, and also Tennessee. Time has come to retire. What do? Well, we have to pick one. And after much thought and going through winters in both Tennessee and Canada, the choice was Florida. Now, here's the problem. Our house in Tennessee was about 3,200 square feet. We had a big old farmhouse in Canada and many years in which we have accumulated things. Our house in Florida is quite small. It was 1,200 square feet. Just to give you the perspective that when we moved to Florida, we had to find a bigger house. So we went all the way up to 1,800 square feet. By the time we moved all our belongings down here to Florida, we had no room in any of the rooms to move around. What do you do with all this stuff?
That's a good question.
So looking around, said, well, we ended up giving a lot away. We gave away half our library. We gave away over 1,000 books. We gave away furniture. We gave away quite a bit of stuff. Point is, we didn't get rid of it all.
Right.
What do we do with these collectibles and these things we have accumulated? So in this town, there was a very large flea market that they did once a month. I took a booth.
This is Florida we're talking about.
This is Florida. We're now in Florida only. We took a booth, and my wife and I set up, and we brought down everything we could think of, big and small. Well, we sold quite a bit.
Okay.
And I said, oh, well, this is good. We get money for it, and we're getting rid of it. But as I was doing this, I did the following month, and then it went on from there, where I was doing 2 or 3 flea markets a month. And what I realized is that people, you have different types of people. You have people that are collectors, and they collect all sorts of things. And you have people that are just looking for, let's say, good used furniture, pots and pans, dishes, whatever.
Everyday items.
Everyday items. Because here in Florida, you get a lot of people, we call them snowbirds, that only come down during the winter months. And
And a snowbird is someone who lives in the northern part of North America, whether it be the United States or Canada, and winters in Florida or warmer climates.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So therefore, I started looking around, and I realized there were certain things I liked. As an example, I've always had a very soft spot for Fiesta wear. Why? Because my grandparents had it, and that brings back warm feelings.
Sure. And we should mention that Fiesta ware is a style of dishware from, I want to say, New Mexico, right?
It's actually manufactured in West Virginia, in the Ohio Valley.
There you go. And it's very colorful plates and dishes and mugs and whatnot. And actually, we're drinking coffee right now from some Fiesta ware. And once you see it, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Right. So at these flea markets, not only are you a seller, shall we say, but you end up being a collector, whatever it may be. My forte is musical instruments, really. But the reality is that's not a big item at a flea market.
Right.
Not that many musicians walk through flea markets. But a lot of this other stuff is. And in Florida, what's really prime is that a lot of people come down to retire, and they have older things that they've kept for years. And these are antiques, these are collectibles. And they could be anything from radios to fishing rods to lures, you name it, people collect it. I even had a woman buy a little statue from me, and she looked at it and says, "Oh, I collect manatees."
Oh.
And I looked at the statue, and I thought it was a porpoise or a dolphin.
Sure.
But then I looked at her, I said, well, if she thinks it's a manatee, that's fine.
It's a manatee.
Yep. So most sellers are collectors, in some sense. You'll go to a flea market, certain booths might just have jewelry, as an example.
Sure.
Certain booths may do nothing but old antiques. I mean, I've even seen booths of people that do nothing but old lunch boxes.
Right. Before we move forward, because I'm going to ask you some specific things on what one should do when they go to a flea market, how to look at the item that you're considering purchasing, I want to take a walk back. I understand that a lot of your perspective on items that one can find can come from your past when you worked at an auction house.
I grew up in a town, and in the town we had a
This
auction
is Hanover?
gallery. This is Hanover, Mass. Name of the gentleman was Louis Cook, and he would hire us on weekends for the auctions, etc. And I ended up working after school, etc. But I learned a lot from the gentleman as to value of things, etc. I mean, the one rule is if you're going to buy something, make sure you like it.
Okay.
Never look at an antique as if it's an investment.
I see.
It can be quite disappointing.
Sure.
Certain things lose over half the value, like a chipped plate or whatever, a piece of furniture that's all marked up.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to know what you're doing if you think you're investing. By the same token, you know, he taught me many things about how to read a customer, which may seem funny, but if you're doing an auction, you're trying to get a certain vibe going, shall we say.
Sure.
You want to get people to buy things, to want to buy things. And so it's kind of a circus act, like a barker out there smelling. And you use that at a flea market on a one-on-one basis. I mean, if somebody comes up and looks at something, and maybe they walk away, and all of a sudden, half hour later, they're back, well, you know you have a customer.
Right.
You just got to figure out, you know, what the price is going to eventually be, and that's something else people don't realize. At flea markets, most vendors expect you to come back with a proposal. If they have $10 on an item, they're expecting you're going to come back and say, well, what's your lowest price? Or will you take 7 for it? Will you,
Sure.
and it's not insulting as long as it's done, that way.
Right.
If you get somebody who comes up and says, oh, what a piece of junk that is, I wouldn't pay that. I don't, I just walk away. I don't want to deal with them.
Sure. It's not worth your time.
Not worth the aggravation.
Sure.
So at any rate, but as you get into this, and you get, and when I say you get into this, it's that every once in a while, if I go to a flea market, I might just see that one item that either stands out or is different, or I know the value of it and they don't. You're looking at some silver ware up on that shelf there.
Pictures. Yeah.
That I bought, they were quite inexpensive. And I bought them at 2 different times. Once was actually in Connecticut and the other in Florida. And they had no idea what they had.
Wow.
So you learn how to look for the marks on silver, as an example, silver.
Sure. So what would you look for? You see a silver pitcher. The first thing you're going to do, I'm assuming, is turn it over and look for the mark that indicates that it's silver?
Well, it depends where it is.
Okay.
If I'm just going to get up from the table, walk across the room and show you something.
So Dan is just getting up from the table and he's walking across the room to get something. And the house has some well-appointed items that Dan has found from various flea markets. And now he has what looks like a toothpick holder.
No, it's actually a bar accessory.
Oh, like a jigger. It looks like a jigger.
A shot
Oh, yeah,
and a
that's
half
great.
shot.
Okay.
But look at the marks.
Okay. They're really small and they seem to be almost indented into it. And it says smack. Is that right? Smash? Oh, I can't even see that one.
They're different marks. They
Yeah,
don't.
one looks like an upside down U. I don't know.
What one stands for, as an example, this is English.
Right.
First mark shows that it's English.
Okay.
The next mark shows you what part of England it was
Oh, I
made.
see. Okay.
The next one's going to show you the actual person or company that made it.
Wow. So this is old silver.
This is old silver. It's called coin silver,
Okay.
which means that they used to take old silver coins and melt them down to make such items.
Wow. Yeah, it has 4 distinct. They're not engravings. They're almost like
They're stamped in.
stamped.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Fascinating.
Now, I've had people come on to my booth. I might have a couple of pieces that look like silver but are only silver plate or
Sure.
whatever. And I had one woman show up, pull out a monocle glass,
Wow.
and just went over every piece.
Piece by piece.
And she didn't buy anything because I didn't have anything,
She knew what she was looking for. It sounds.
Yeah, she was obviously a collector. And yet, that same day, I had a gentleman show up and buy all my silver plate. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he says, yes, I know. He said, it's worth what you have on it, but it's not real silver, it's plate. And I said, well, that's right. As long as you know that, I feel comfortable selling it to you. He said, I actually collect this stuff for the copper content.
Well, because silver-plated items could have copper.
Yes, usually the base is going to be a brass or a copper or what have you. And that, of course, on the market fluctuates. Actually fluctuates day by day.
Wow.
And this gentleman said, I've dealt in copper all my life. He says, I just collect it and put it in the garage. He said, when the price is right, then I'll sell it off.
There you go.
So I just said, well, see, everybody collects something.
Sure.
But as you progress, as I say, don't look at it as an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it saying, I like that piece. It's either something I want because I like the looks of it, the aesthetics, or it's something I know that is old, but most probably has little value. And sometimes it's very difficult to put pricing on certain items.
Right.
We have a couple of butter molds that the farmers used to use to make sticks of butter.
I see.
And they're all handmade,
Mm-hmm.
and they're roughly made.
Right.
And the value, if you try to look it up in a book or anything, is going to fluctuate.
You've also got a bunch of milk, old milk containers or jugs.
Yeah, and that's funny because I had one. My wife and I, we had a one-room schoolhouse when we were first married. I went under the foundation, and these kids, there was an opening in the foundation where the stairs were, and they would throw inkwells and milk bottles and other things under there.
Right.
And I was amazed, not just at the broken glass, but some of the remnants. So we had a few inkwells, but I found one milk bottle totally intact.
Okay.
No scratches, nothing. And the glass was quite old. Now, this schoolhouse was built in 1830 or thereabouts
And
by
where's
old
this?
shipwrights in Hanover, Mass.
Okay, so it's in Hanover we're talking about. Okay.
And we always had it. It was always. And then I started going to flea markets, and I'm looking at milk bottles, and I went to one particular flea market, and this was up in Ontario, Canada. And the people up there were selling these milk bottles for $1 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And they were actually beautiful. And I remembered I saw one that has, actually it separates the cream from the milk.
The actual bottle does.
The actual bottle does. There's
It
a
has
bubble
like a
up on
well
top.
on top or a bubble on the top
Yeah.
that does that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just, all of a sudden, a flashback of my grandfather using the cream for his coffee.
Wow.
And I had to have it.
Sure.
And I think I paid a whole $1 for it. But anyways, all of a sudden that set me off to pick or to buy milk bottles if they were very inexpensive. Now, why? I don't know. Do I want to collect them? No, you could collect how many dairies have there been in North America over the years. But I have a few that I like, and that's all there is to it. I do the same with bells. I like bells. I used to make bells.
Okay.
So.
And that's a common find at a flea market? Would be
No,
okay.
no, it actually isn't. I mean, for the most part, you might find a school bell. What I have are usually just very unique pieces.
All right.
Very unique sounds, etc. And I always collect just metal. I don't do glass or ceramics or anything else.
This is metal school bells, or metal bells you're talking
metal
about.
bells.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu, fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I ordered the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Score a 2 for $5 deal on a sausage McMuffin with egg and more. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We need to keep kids safe online, but some special interests are sending policymakers in the wrong direction, pushing the so-called App Store Accountability Act, demanding government ID from all users just to download an app, replacing parents' judgment with government mandates. It doesn't even stand up in court. A better bipartisan bill, the Parents Over Platforms Act, would put parents in the driver's seat, empowering parents and businesses to keep kids safe without drowning all of us in red tape. Tell Congress to get it done right and put parents over platforms.
Paid for by ACT, the App Association.
So let me ask you this. You've mentioned Fiestaware, you've mentioned bells, and you've mentioned milk containers. What do you look for when you first see these items on a table?
Well, the vendors do one of two things. They either price everything out right in front of you, so you know what they want, or they have no prices, which means you have to ask them. And if you're doing that, half of those folks are going to look at you and size you up.
I see.
Oh, so you're interested in my cup? Yes. Well, it's a very nice one. It's English. It's whatever. You won't find too many like that. But I got to get $10 for it. Well, the cup isn't worth $5, so you got to, you have to understand. Now, you may use that as a beginning bargaining chip. I.e., if somebody said that to me, I'd look at it and say, no, I couldn't give you $5 for it. Not worth it to me.
Right.
And that immediately is going to put him in a bargaining mode. Or you'll just walk away, which is fine also.
And you mentioned that the etiquette at a flea market is such that if you're respectful with how you negotiate, it's perfectly fine.
Yes. Too many people, or I shouldn't say too many, but many people think they know going to a flea market that it's going to be all bargaining, low end, get it down to the lowest possible price. The problem there is you're getting, you've already started a confrontation.
Right.
And you don't want that.
No.
Neither side does. But the point really is you've got to be respectful. If you're not, most of these people know a lot more than you know. So you can come off as
Arrogant, disrespectful.
yeah, even if you're trying to pretend that you know something, they're going to pick up on it immediately. They've been around a long time. Now, flea markets are fun, and there's an entertainment value to going to one.
Sure.
And if you've never been to one, you really should walk around a good-sized one just so you get the lay of the land and see what people do.
Dan, what are some of the best finds you have found at a flea market?
Well, I grew up learning how to play drums, and I played drums in a few groups. And one day, there was a very small flea market at a church, a local church. And I went just to walk and peruse it. And as soon as I walked into the area, there was a booth. And there was an old snare drum sitting there. Now, a lot of people get fooled by musical instruments. They think all musical instruments are expensive and worth the money. But this particular one, I looked at it, and I knew exactly what it was. It was a drum made between 1938 and 1939. The name of the company was WFL, which stood for William Ludwig, who founded a company before that called Ludwig Drums. But they had sold out to Con Enterprises, a very large corporation. And when I saw it, I said, I really got to get that drum. I want that. And I went up to it, the patina on it, it looked like it had been stored for ages in an attic or someplace. And I asked the man, I said, what do you want for that? He said, $65. Well, I knew I was going to buy it at that point. I said, well, we started talking, and I offered him $50. He took it. So I just had to look the drum up as soon as I got home and realized it was worth $400 on the open market.
Oh, wow. And
So,
do you still have that drum?
Absolutely. And I'm sure that when I die, my kids are going to have to do something with it. But I'm not going to give it up. And, there are other things that don't have to be worth a lot of money for you to like. In fact, there are things, I don't even know what they are, but just looking at the quality of them, I bought them.
Like, such as?
I have here an example, and I don't know what they are.
Oh, man, they're heavy.
They are very heavy, and they're machined out of one piece of metal.
Oh, wow.
A very fine machinery. And they have on there a name, which is Airflex. And if you look up Airflex, you'll see they're a high-end manufacturer. They provide parts for everything from cars to NASA to whatever. But I saw this, and the work was so fine, I bought them.
Wow.
They could be egg cups, they could be a shot glass.
Sure.
But as you say, they're quite heavy. I don't believe they're an item that they actually manufactured for sale. I think it might have been a promo item, maybe at a trade show or something, giving out samples. But this was sitting at the on the flea market on the corner of a table. And I don't know, I just bought them.
And how much did you pay for them?
Oh, well, I paid big money for those. I paid 25 cents a piece.
Oh, wow. So there you go. You don't know what they are, They weren't very expensive, but they're well made. Any tips for people who are going to a flea market?
Well, as I said earlier, there's an entertainment value. If you go there to have a nice little stroll, see some items that you're just not going to see every day.
Right.
And you're going to see a lot of commonplace items. One of the favorite sayings, if you listen to the people walking through, you'll see something and they'll say, "Oh, my mother had one of those.
Right.
I wonder what it's worth."
Sure.
Go over and say, "Wow, I should have kept it."
I just said that. Actually, we were at the flea market a couple of days ago. What about advice for people who are considering opening up a booth at a flea market?
Well, what you should do, if you really want to be involved that way, you should have a certain expertise on goods, certain goods. You don't have to be an expert on antiques. You don't have to be an expert in any one area. But do what you like. You're going to learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a certain expertise, and I went to a flea market once, and somebody had a pile of silver flatware, and it was obvious that it was just in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, well, these people they don't really deal with this. They just brought it along maybe to get rid of it or sell it.
Sure.
So I went through it, and I didn't see any silver marks. I didn't see anything that tipped me off that there was something special. And the lady comes over and starts talking to me, and I said, well, she said, will you give me X amount for the box? And I said, I'm sorry, I wouldn't give you half of that. And so that engaged us in a conversation, and she said, honestly, I don't know anything about this stuff.
Right.
I got it out of a house or something.
Right.
And I said, well, you've got flatware. And I went through the whole box with her, and there was maybe a sugar bowl and a creamer.
Right.
And I said, now, that's worth something. It's got a very nice Art Deco type design to it. It's a bit unusual. So at any rate, if you're going to do that, if you have a hobby, maybe you have a hobby. It doesn't matter what the hobby is. It could be archery. It could be... Well, I've seen, especially here in Florida, people that do what they call treasure hunting.
Okay.
They get their scuba gear on, they go down, they'll pick up old Coke bottles on the bottom of the bay. One gentleman did find some old treasure, some old coins. And he also found a cannon.
A cannon?
A cannon.
Wow.
And so he picked it up. He was able to get it to the surface and brought it to the flea market and everything, and that's a heck of a conversation starter.
I bet. It certainly would draw you to the gentleman's booth.
Yeah, and now that's he wasn't necessarily an expert in anything, but he just liked doing it.
Right.
And there's just so much more. I've seen a lot of craftspeople make art out of local plants and what have you. Some painters or whatever.
Things, sure.
Yeah. So there's a whole slew of things. It just may be you're like me. You end up with so much stuff. And that's what we say. It's stuff. That's all it is.
Right.
Okay? And there's no reason to hold on to it for the next generation because they don't have any interest in it.
Sure.
So what are you going to do? Burden them down? And here, you got to get rid of it eventually and whatever.
In your case, the answer was the flea market.
The flea market.
There you go. Well, Dan, I want to thank you once again for being on our podcast. This was certainly an enlightening episode on flea markets.